Hello, I've endeavored today to try and describe something that I've noticed in Chaos Zero, which I've noticed in several other games that I would personally like to comment on. This is a design criticism, but I would like to make it clear that I don't necessarily think it is required for this thing to change, even if I personally disagree with it. I think that the devs are allowed to run the game however they want, whatever way they want, and I'm simply a passenger player who will play it or not play it, depending on my interests. So the term that I was thinking of calling this, exclusive design. So this is a made-up term that I'm going to attempt to try and describe, and then maybe you can think about it or say that it's stupid. I'm just trying to make a video, man, whatever. Which I will start by describing like a single-player shooter game. In a single-player shooter game, let's say, for example, that I have something like a pistol. And this pistol is good at shooting bullets. This is like an action that a player can do, and like equipping the gun is also like an action that a player can do, right? This thing, or using this pistol, is probably effective against most dudes. So like, you know, you can get him with a body shot, or maybe you can like aim for a headshot or something. And that'll probably like deal with a guy. That'll probably deal with a duder. And this is like very, very simple encounter design, I guess, is that we give the player something that they can do. You can use it against a thing, and then like that thing is to some degree effective. And then you could have like different enemies where like this enemy like dodges around super fast or something, so like it's harder to hit with your pistol. Maybe you want to use a grenade or something, but I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So I want to use this pistol, and there's another enemy type that has like body armor. So they've got a big old, they've got a chest plate that's like kind of hard to, you know, if you try shooting at this thing with your pistol, it's not very effective at piercing the body armor. But like, it's kind of annoying to like tell a player that like they can only, you know, they need something else that's not the pistol. So like, we'll make it so that if you shoot the body armor like 10 times or something, 10 times, then the body armor like falls off, or like maybe you can get a lethal hit in or something, but like, you know, you can still use your pistol against this guy. And as a matter of fact, you can even still like shoot at the head or something if you want to. So, you know, you can either shoot it in the body 10 times, or you can shoot it in the head, and that still works. And then, you know, there's progressively more and more stuff you could do here. Like this guy has a riot shield, and then like it's really hard to hit their head, and like maybe they have a helmet or something. And then they also have body armor. So like you can go all the way down the list of like making things more complicated for the player. And depending on like how you want to design stuff, like maybe this riot shield has like a gas canister at the bottom because like you're in some steampunk-esque universe where like they put gas canisters at the bottom of the riot shields to power their like steampunk shield, whatever. Maybe they can walk up to you and they can like spray steam in your face or something. So in this case, the pistol can like, you know, shoot at the guy at the gas canister to like stun them or something, or maybe they can like go around their flank and shoot them from behind, in which case like you still end up with this type of enemy where like you can shoot it 10 times in the body armor, or maybe there's like a very precise shot by the head or something. So like there's interplay here with how I as a player would like to use this pistol to interact with all these different types of enemies, these like dodger enemies, these body armor enemies, these riot shield enemies, whatever. So I think most keen people will know where I'm going with this, but I'm going to continue talking about it anyways. I don't, like, to be completely honest with you, I don't know how much of an obvious thing this is. I don't want to come across as, like, condescending or something, but I feel like it's important to like describe these things, right? So, like, let's say this is our suite of enemies. The thing is, like, we have something like a rifle. It's got a scope, so you can tell that's totally a rifle. And rifles are pretty good against these guys. So instead of trying to use my handgun, I can just be like, well, rifle has really good armor piercing, and it can actually, there's like a little less armored place here that you can aim at with the sniper rifle and kind of pierce through the armor and still get the guy in the back. Incidentally, this is also slightly kind of better against these guys because it pierces through the body armor in one hit. So you kind of have this interplay of switching back and forth between these weapons, and then kind of the obvious opportunity cost between these is like zooming in with the rifle is hard to aim at like close range. Maybe it's a little bit harder to aim even outside of it because like this has an iron sight, which like aims really easily, has good handling. And then it's harder to drag this around. Like, you can present whatever opportunity cost you want with these things, but the thing is, like, you can still use or choose to use the rifle against like light infantry. Maybe you just have a lot of excess ammo, like you're playing a Resident Evil and you have a lot of excess ammo for the sniper rifle, so you want to use it against infantry. Maybe it even has pierce through or has punch through, so there's actually like a reason to use it against infantry, simply because you feel like it. You're just playing a single player game, it doesn't really matter. You're allowed to choose what you want to do. Some kind of melee. This is all to just illustrate like a very simplified combat system that has two things. It has problems, and it has, you know, solutions. It looks kind of weird now that I put it in a column of dudes and then a column of guns, but like these are player actions. These are actions you can take, actions that you can take to solve the problems that are in the game. And then there are like different types of encounters, like maybe you'll have 3 shield dudes that are all lined up in a corridor, and then you have some like light infantry behind them that also have rifles or something. So like this is a basic encounter. It's like, do I want to try sniping off the infantry that are at the back? Do I want to try taking out these guys? Do I want to like throw a grenade or something? You know, how do I want to deal with this? So the melee in this case, probably not the most effective because you have this line of dudes that maybe they had that like steam attack that I talked about, right? So it's like hard to make it past them if they're in a group. It's probably hard to get around them. Maybe melee is actually good against armored targets, and it's like you start off with the pistol and the melee, and then like that's the original system, and then you get the sniper rifle later, whatever. So we have actions, we have problems, we have different types of encounters where like you can combine these things, and then like it's really up to the player what types of actions they want to use and what combination, whether like they're throwing grenades, they're meleeing, they're shooting things, whatever. And that makes a kind of like open system for the player to express like their own agency about like their preferences of what kind of weapons they want to use, what kinds of like when they want to use grenades, maybe they don't use grenades, maybe they're playing on a lower difficulty, so like using the handgun versus everything just kind of works. Like there's a lot of different variables here that have to do with how these encounters are designed, how the guns are designed, whatever, for the game to be fun. And the general principle that I've been trying to illustrate with this is that a lot of the different tools that you can choose, depending on both your playstyle, what you feel comfortable using, should probably work. Like generally, if like when I'm making this type of encounter, I'm anticipating that the person who likes using handguns might just get like a sweet shot down the corridor and like hit this guy in the back. Like that guy doesn't even need to switch to the rifle. They don't even care about doing that. They just want to land this super awesome headshot from downtown because they love pistols, whatever. And then the rifle players maybe a bit further back and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna snipe off these shield guys first I don't want to waste my ammo on these guys in the back because, like, I know I can handle them with the pistol, so, like, I'm not even going to worry about that. And frankly, even the person who just wants to use melee because there's some kind of freak. I like using melee. They can also potentially run in there. Maybe they have, like, a perk, like Shield Breaker or something that puts them in like, a pinned combat with Riot Shield folks. You know, whatever. They're going to have options. I want to give them options. Because realistically, this hallway is, like, meant to be solved. Like, it's just a little set piece for you to, like, act out an encounter that can kill you. Like, you can still die. It's not like I'm expecting you to have no trouble at all. Like, you can still get KO'd in this hallway. Maybe in Legendary, there's also, like, a sword dude. I'm thinking Halo. There's, like, a sword dude that rushes at you, which makes it, like, infinitely more complicated for whatever player is playing this. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like your choice what you want to do. And contrary to the first words that I put on this page, I would call this something like inclusive design. Again, these are just made-up terms. The stabilizer on this pen really not helping me. I would call this inclusive design because the idea is that there is a number of valid solutions that you can choose. Valid solutions that you can choose to approach this encounter. And these games can be pretty fun. I would say that games where you get to choose what you want to do, pretty fun. I'm trying to not have this sound like too negative when I'm saying this because, like, I'm just trying to illustrate a design principle. You have a number of actions you can take. There are a number of different ways you can solve the problem. And unfortunately, sometimes you end up with threads that tell you that, well, the best way to do or play the entire game is to only use claymores in Elden Ring because strength builds are the best. And the only way to beat the game is by using this big sword, popsicle stick to beat everything. It is objectively the best, and your opinion is wrong. These games are very rarely designed like that. Elden Ring has like 7 billion weapons you can use to beat the game. You could use a short sword and probably still beat the game quite handily. So where do gacha games come into the picture here? So what I've noticed in Chaos Zero, in particular with the new game mode that they introduced that I only played a little bit of because I had the weapon for it, is the mode where you kind of fight like 3 bosses. And I noticed, both from a scoring level and also boss design level, that it really felt like this was sort of the breakdown of the bosses. Is that you use the pistol here. I don't actually really want to draw all of these because it's sort of annoying, but you use the rifle here, give it its thing, and then you use the melee here. And it just so happens that the pistol was on ban. Wow. What does Diana actually look like? Diana? Anyway, she has wings. Kind of hilarious, actually, because now that I think about it, I guess Renoa and Diana both use pistols. That's actually incredibly funny. I did not plan that at all. Okay, so this is a little bit frustrating to me because I can't afford any of the units. No, that is literally not true. I'm actively making content for this game. I could roll for every unit, it doesn't matter. So the reason why this is frustrating is because you have a lot of characters and a lot of different weapons. I'm not going to draw like 70 different weapons. You know what, maybe let's draw a few different weapons. So like, you have a lot of different weapons that do a lot of different things. That this is supposed to be like the boomerang shield from Mega Man Zero. That doesn't make sense to anybody. Like, you have, like, vanguards, you have, like, psychers and stuff. And it just doesn't really feel like you are allowed to use different weapons for these bosses. So this is something I complained about a little bit in my last Just Talking About Stuff video, and how I thought it was a little disappointing that the format was you have to reach, you know, plus points in order to be highest rank in Great Rift, and that this was like a big focus of the game because people didn't really want to be farming stuff. And then their solution kind of moving forward, or part of their solution seems to be that like there's going to be a greater focus on the roguelike. Why do I feel like this is actually a problem? So part of my problem with this type of system is that I think that a lot of the operators in this game, like all the different weapons and whatever, are really cool. Lo and behold, I actually think that whenever I look at the deck design of all of the characters, and also the fact that they can do several different things, I look at them and go, wow, that's like just the poison part of Silent, or oh, that's just like the discard synergy, or oh, this like card draw person could be used with that thing and do something slightly different, or you know, you could have 2 vanguards and have a very healing focused team or whatever. And it's frustrating because those agents are really cool and I want to use them. But the unfortunate thing is that when the goal of these modes is to hit like 1 million points, and then they're asking you to use a very specific weapon, then you end up with a scenario where you look at this corridor of dudes, right? And like they're all Riot Shield guys. They're all Riot Shield guys with super heavy body armor, so you can't use the pistol, and if you walk up to them, they have like a pulse shield that like pushes you back, so you can't melee them. This is like an auto trigger. You can never actually go past their shield. The only way to deal with them is to use the sniper rifle. And that can be pretty frustrating, because if I don't want to use the sniper rifle, then what are you expecting me to do about this encounter? I would say that the agency in the types of compositions that you could use to clear these encounters is relatively low when you're trying to hit 1 million. I actually would like to describe to the degree that they are, that's the case, because I thought this was incredibly funny, is that the effectively hard cap, it's a soft cap, but it feels like a hard cap when you're not using the correct weapon, is, I think it was something like 400 or 500k. So I brought a fully kitted out barrel, 4 opening founds, plus 2 good supports into the final boss. I don't remember what it was. I think it was the one actually from Season 2. So I brought that barrel into this boss, and I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe if I just have like a really, really good draw, I do a couple of rerolls, I'll fight this boss, and then I'll probably just hit like 1 mil, something like that. Then that'll be pretty fun, because I was looking forward to fighting these bosses and just kind of like testing out a bunch of different teams and trying to see different ways that I can get to 1 million. And what I found was that at approximately 400k or something like that, I think the team actually got to like 700k or something like that. Like when you pass with barrel for like 8 turns, you're just absolutely blasting the thing. Like you'll end up with a lot of points. But there's a condition on this fight that's like you get X points for activating a 3-cost card. And then if you do the math for about 0.5 seconds, you'll find out that at the soft cap of 400k, plus the points that are required from this thing, you will end up with a whopping 1 million points. Yeah, I think on the Serennial one, it's like whenever you do a Ravage, it's like Ravage equals Ravage equals, like... How many turns are there? There's 10, so it must have been, like, 40k points every time you ravage, and then... Only once per turn, by the way. So 40k every time you ravage, and then, like, times 10 turns is 400k, and then, you know, you add these two things together, plus a little bit extra from this one, and then you end up with about 1 million. I am aware that this adds up to 800k. I just didn't really want to open the game to double check the numbers, because it's really not important. It is a theoretical design principle. I think we can see what the thing is. The point of all this is that a mechanism was added to this boss fight that made the boss fight more exclusively designed for Serenial, for 9, and for Diane or Renoa. Which you could say, well, isn't a boss fight that dies to the things of the units that I have, like the cool units that I have, fun? And it's like, kind of, a little bit. You can have some fun by doing this. It's okay. I wouldn't judge somebody for doing it, honestly. Like, it's not an issue. And this is sort of why I prefaced this entire video by saying, like, you're allowed to have fun doing this. And it does, like, you also don't need to aim for 1 million. 1 million's just the highest score, rewarding score you can get for the thing. Nothing suggests that you need to get the highest score to complete this thing. There's theoretically no actual expectation for you to do that. But I think the Occam's razor there is that it's like, yeah, people want to get the score in the bosses. Like, people want to beat the bosses to a degree that feels satisfying or complete. And this is, in my most cynical take, a really good way at selling units. Because if I can't get the 1 million here, and the gameplay in the game is fun, but I can't seem to get 1 million, well, maybe the solution is to pull for Diane. And Diane looked pretty cool, so, like, I wanted to get her, so I'm gonna, like, pull for her, and then I'm gonna, like, farm a deck for her and get to the thing, and then Season 3 comes out, and then there's gonna be another operator that has links, and then the link swords all play themselves at the same time, because the boss is gonna say something like, you can only take 1 action this turn, but you need to play 10 cards this turn in order to get the points to do the thing. And it's just like... It's just so unfortunate. I find it unfortunate. Like, really. I just find it unfortunate. Because this unit was really cool. I have no problems with this unit. I don't have any problems with Renoa. I don't have problems with 9. All these units do something that is unique and interesting to the character. It's just that the encounter design in this game basically tells you the only way you can get 1 million points is to use, like, a few units. And, like, I don't know if I'm the only person who thinks that that's unfortunate, but, like, it's kind of sucks. Like, I want to do creative things, to fight the bosses, I want to have interesting clears with a lot of different characters that have different ways of clearing, like, 1 million and stuff like that. But you look at the end of the season, and then it's all, like, there was, like, 1 Beryl deck, because Beryl is just fundamentally a busted character. And then everything else was, like, optimizing 9 to doing, like, 1.7 mil points. I strongly believe that this game can be fun if you just let people build the characters and comps and then challenge the bosses. Right? Like, we don't need to add these, like, extrinsic things, right? Like, it's just fun to play a Nia deck, presumably with this new Link character, right? Like, that's just kind of fun. To put a bunch of cards in your hand with Nia Hunger Loop, you fill up your hand, you get a bunch of stuff, and then you play all of them and you do a bunch of damage to the boss. But the thing is, if I brought that deck to this boss, like if I brought this deck, like incredibly competent deck, to this boss, I would probably only score like 700k. Because it like starts really, really, really hard capping you once you get up in points, because they're expecting you to do the objective. And this is just an example of a point system doing it. Like, even if you like stripped away all the points, like let's say there was no points. There's no points at all versus the boss that had like the 2 hands, hand 1, hand 2, and then his big ugly mug. Taking out hand 1 and taking out hand 2, the second phase of this boss left itself vulnerable to get hit 1 time. So the only, I say only in big hyperbole, of course there are other things you can do, but this let itself get attacked by Braille. This let itself get attacked by Barrel multiple times before it recovered at the end of the turn, or it lets you hit it for a really big number with 9, or it lets you hit it with a really big number with Tefera. You could use the units that came out that season to probably do enough damage to this thing. I think actually by the time this unit came out, this wasn't the boss anymore. I didn't participate in Great Rift in the second half. I normally don't. But like, even without the points, like let's just say that this had like a 300 HP bar. And then it's like, okay, well, how are you going to do 300 HP when you're using Serennial? And then you can only hit this guy once. And then it goes away. The answer would probably be like the Retain Epiphany. Or the, I think Plasma Missile also has one. Plasma Missile. Like the upgrade, I don't know if the upgrade could do it, but, you know, there are options. They exist. But, like, the game's not really designed for it. If I had to take a guess, I would say that probably the bosses... This is now a theoretical boss. The weakness of this theoretical boss is going to be order, so that it doesn't have weakness to Serennial, and then also, so you're only going to do like, you know, 20 HP to it, whatever, with one of these. And the thing is, even if this wasn't the case, like, let's say there was a way to brute force Serennial in this case, or some other operator, you could do something like revert how elasticity works, and then barrel can't be used to fight this boss anymore, basically. Now, it's nice because elasticity doesn't work like that anymore, but as we can clearly see, that was kind of a mistake, sort of, where now barrel can be used to cheese, in quotes. I say cheese because it's not within the expected range of strategies to now beat this boss. Ultimately, this isn't like a huge problem, you could say. On a scale of exclusive design, there's like probably you can breathe and beat the game. Beat game. And then there's like you buys unit wins. With this being very exclusive, and not exclusive. So, you know, there's a sliding scale here. You can be anywhere here. I would say that personally, say this is the middle point, I would say that a first-person narrative shooter probably is like somewhere here, where like you have a set of tools that you can use that all kind of work versus all of the enemies. And you have to strategically choose when you want to use them, but like the encounters can be solved in a number of different ways. This is also where I think Elden Ring is, personally. You can use a lot of different weapons to solve Elden Ring, and then there's kind of like the execution barrier of needing to do that. I think, again, this is just an opinion of a person who has played different gacha games, I think Arknights had a really good balance. In its early days, you could use a lot of different operators to solve the encounters in Arknights. You would probably need 1 6-star, and even then you could borrow it from a friend. There were plenty of people that did that, and this allowed you to not even trivialize the bosses. It was usually just because you needed like some DPS somewhere, but it's not like they expected you to specifically have the specific unit or whatever. Mind you, some of the later stuff, like the required specific corrosive healing, for example, was like specific. There were certain bosses that felt like they had really intense burst windows that required specific things, or, you know. And like, you're allowed to design for like a handgun encounter, or you're allowed to design like a sniper encounter, stuff like that, where like the solution's pretty obvious. But, you know, in this game, there's so many cool units with so many cool epiphanies that they could be building. And then even it seems to be a team design goal that they want people to be able to use cool strategies and have different epiphanies, which is why they keep rebalancing them. But then they release a boss that's like, you can only get 1 million points if you use Hue 10 times. I was gonna say, I don't know why they do this. I don't want to be super cynical, because again, the thing that upsets me about this is not that I can't pull the units. And also, like, to be completely honest with you, it's not necessarily that I think other people can't pull the units, to be completely honest. The thing that is upsetting about this is that CZN has really, really cool characters that all do really cool things. And I'm really excited for the cool Link Sword person, but then I'm gonna play it against an older boss, and then it's gonna be like, you can't even win with it. And that confuses me. It just confuses me. That's all. So, that was my attempt at shoddily describing this made-up term that I made, exclusive design. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You can, again, feel free to disagree. You can tell me that this is the standard. You can tell me that it doesn't matter. It's just a design opinion. It is my design opinion that games should allow for player expression and agency, and that somewhere between here is probably a good sweet spot for making basically any video game fun. And then as soon as you need to start paying or microtransacting for things, you kind of start going in that direction. And just for the record, I don't have anything against gacha games either. Interestingly, I actually think one of the best things that gacha games can do is be in this category. Because then it means whoever you pull like a free-to-play. It means that any free-to-play player who just pulls whatever units they pull can still complete the content. And maybe it's harder for them. Like, again, maybe this box is closer to over here, and it can be difficult for them to beat the newest boss that requires like a very precise burst window or something. But ultimately, we haven't really made it past the halfway point into like playing Q 10 times to get 1 million points. So that's it. Bye.